curious, are we gonna be able to have a chance to comment after the discussion during the public hearing, or is this the only time we can comment?
This is the time for public comment.
This is the public hearing.
Okay, so we will be able to comment during the public hearing?
This is the public hearing.
Well, so, while you're making discussions, if we have questions, can we ask questions?
This is for you to provide comment at the public hearing, and then they will not be voting upon the contract for what, when are you doing it?
It's on the third, the 30th is when we're doing the voting. This is the time, since we posted the contract, this is the time you
Okay.
have for the questions and
Okay.
or comments, I should say. Hearing none on the public comments. Is there any other official part of this that we need to?
Yeah, and to clarify, there'll be there's general public comment every board meeting, so when they vote upon it, there's general public comment there, then too, if that was your question.
Well, okay, I was just kind of curious if we were actually discussing the things in the contract now.
No, there's no requirement of the board to discuss it any more than they would any other agenda item.
If there's not any other comments or questions, then I guess we're gonna go ahead and adjourn then.
Maybe 10 minutes? and
10 minutes?
start your
Yeah.
day.
Yeah. So,
10-minute break.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, do we pause this?
Positive would not be all
You
bad.
wanna pause this recording instead of it just awkwardly recording silence for 10 minutes?
There's not a pause function.
How was the play?
It was fun.
Good.
The kids loved it.
Yes.
The kids loved it. Ready for that. She was so mad.
She did, she felt so
Like a
bad.
teenager.
Where's graduation day?
Have to redo graduation.
No, that'll be next Thursday.
She also thinks that we're not gonna feel for baseball.
I know, I didn't even know you existed today. It's not here this morning.
You may need to be in charge of the lineup.
Your sixth graders have senioritis.
Oh, you have no idea. Yes, they do. They are ready.
Yeah.
They're keeping it together.
I can see that.
They are.
As a kid, and my mom like didn't ever just deal with it. Or like,
And I can still remember trying to eat pudding.
All right. Start pledge.
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome, everybody. One for the passive Mike Steinbarger, want to send our condolences to the family. He's a heck of a guy that we really missed. After that, any agenda modifications we need to?
No, sir.
Okay.
We're good.
All right, we'll leave with recognition of students and staff.
Thank you, Mr. Kendall.
Is that there?
We'd like to probably start with Mr. Kendall. John, recognition of Teachers of the Year.
I do not currently have them with me tonight, so I will bring those with me next school.
Beth?
I would like to recognize two very important members of the Southwestern Elementary family. I'm going to start with our Teacher of the Year, and this year is Mr. Caleb Tennell. A few things that our staff said as they nominated him. Here's some of the things that were said about Caleb. Caleb is a hardworking teacher who makes learning fun and engaging. He loves his students and does whatever it takes for them to succeed. Caleb is hardworking, dedicated, and positive. I chose this teacher because he dedicates his time to his students to a fault. He is here before 7 every morning to make sure he has everything he needs to best support all of his learners. He spends his evenings and weekends thinking about his students and what he can do to help them, not only in their education, but also in becoming good I chose Mr. Tittle because I have had the privilege of being in his classroom and seeing how he not only has a love for teaching the kids and being great at it, but also building relationships with them, making each one of them feel important. Although I have children his age, I have so much respect for him as an educator. He has a huge heart for his students and their education. Caleb is dedicated, caring, and never stops. His commitment to the kids is unmatched. Class is always a fun, exciting place to be while keeping learning the very top priority. So thank you, Mr. Caleb. The Southwestern Elementary Support Staff Member of the Year could not be here tonight, but that was Candy Hudson. And I'd like to honor her and share some of the words the staff has said about her. Candy is amazing and keeps our school running each day and always has a smile on her face while doing it. Candy is a rock star. She is the patience of a saint and is always willing to help. I appreciate her every day. Candy is selfless, confident, and helpful. She is an amazing person inside and out. She loves our students and truly cares for our school. She is in the front line when people come into our building and is calm and collected to whoever walks through the door. I appreciate all that she does daily and her ability to wear many hats every day, all the time. And then finally, what I ask myself almost every day, where would I be without you?
Very well deserved. Now we go into public comments. Got any public comments tonight? Going once, going twice. Go ahead.
Paul Bowdy again. Number one, I missed the mics that the school had purchased to be used during the meetings. Whenever you're not present in a meeting and you're trying to watch it on TV, it is extremely hard. And I'd like to see the school board get back to using those mics again. That's the first thing. The second thing is I've noticed, like watching CNN and some of the reports that they've had about the pandemic school funding and how many schools have been using that money for teacher salaries, positions, and they were supposed to be used for the learning and bring them up to learning from back what it was pre-pandemic time to post-pandemic time when the e-learning was all taking place and many schools have fallen behind in the academic standards, and just was wanting to ask the school board, the superintendent, the teachers, the principals, to be able to update us on how we are doing, what we were doing, did we use those funds, how that all came into place, and where we are with our congratulations to Caleb and, you know, his expertise at working with the kids and how they had done. We saw how that was done a couple months ago, how they had done so well and progressed and been at the top of the state. But how has that overall affected our school from the e-learning? What's going to take us? Are we behind? Are we catching up? How were those funds used that was supposedly given out to the schools? Just a question on that.
Thank you for coming. Obviously, I thought there was a lot there. I don't have all that stuff privy to just come off the cuff with, but hopefully we'll be able to get you an answer.
An answer on the mics?
Or if you want to.
We put roofs on our schools with our ESSER money. And spent, it's gone. Did I agree with this, Libby?
Yes.
Any other comments? Okay, hearing none. Moving on to the consent items and claims.
We recommend approval of the consent items and claims, including the minutes from the previous meeting and the accounts payable vouchers that are in your packet.
Any other questions? Questions, Brett?
Nope.
I make a motion to approve.
I will second.
All those in favor? It's like 6-0.
Business financial reports, we recommend the approval of our financial report and the extracurricular cafeteria account reports also in your packet.
Any questions on any of that? No questions. On the new business.
We recommend the acceptance of donations and grants. beginning with a donation of $50 from Mount Auburn Christian Church for the Spartan cover. Also a donation of $50 from Treva Whitus for the Spartan cover, and a donation of $400 from Flat Rock United Methodist Church for the Spartan cover.
Motion approved. All those in favor? 6-0.
Okay, a number of new items. We recommend to approve Kevin Robertson and the band to go to the Cincinnati Conservatory of Music on May 17, 2024.
I'll make a motion to approve golf field trip.
Second. All those in favor? 6-0.
We recommend to approve Kevin Robertson and band go to Kings Island on May 29th, 2024.
I'll make a motion to approve Godwin too.
Second. All those in favor? 6-0.
There is in your packet memorandum of understanding with Flat Rock Haw Creek for the sharing of an occupational therapist. We recommend to approve that MOU for our occupational therapist services.
Make a motion to approve. Second. All those in favor? 6-0.
Recommended to adopt the Shelby County Multi-Hazard Mitigation Plan. This is a renewal of a plan that's been in place. It's kind of a boilerplate of plans across the state, but it's one we need to approve. It makes available basically our facilities in the case of all kinds of disasters and hazards. We recommend approval of that hazard mitigation plan.
I will make a motion to approve the Shelby County Multi-Housing Mitigation Plan.
Second. All those in favor? 6-0 again.
We recommend approval of the purchase of yoga Chromebooks from Rowing IT Solutions in the amount of $72,450. It's part of our regular and ongoing replacement plan to keep Chromebooks in the hands of our students.
Roughly what percent of that is our total stock out where we roll through? That's not all of them, I know, but.
2 grades.
Not all of them, it's 175 of them. What I did was I took the 3, 6, and 9, which are going to be getting the new Chromebooks, and I added 15% on top of that for cards or loaners.
Any questions? Make a motion. Second. All those in favor? 6-0.
We recommend to approve the cancellation of a contract we have with Ridge City at Epic IO and allow us to pay a cancellation fee of $41,095.80. The cancellation of this contract will allow us to reduce our costs on an ongoing basis. So at the end of what we're amounted to this 3-year contract, it will be $50,000 in the good. So we ask your permission and approval of the cancellation of this contract.
Any questions on that?
I'm gonna ask a question. Okay. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, you've done all the math. You feel like this is going to be a quality provider and choice? for
Yes,
the-
there's very limited gaps in Verizon coverage out here. Verizon 5G coverage is pretty much covered out here. Not the same for T-Mobile or AT&T, so Verizon's gonna be the best to go. The only difference is because when I talked to the city at Epic IO, the only difference is that they're going through the Verizon First Responders Network, which just means that if you're in the First Responders Network, you get number one priority over anyone else. So if towers are jammed with people trying to access stuff, then you get priority over everyone else. You're still going to get full service. I personally don't believe that buses need that for cameras and Wi-Fi for students, because simply we're out in the country, these towers aren't going to get back. It's not a concern. And so it did not believe that it was worth an extra $150 a month per bus.
Zach, did you check with other school corporations who use Verizon?
I did. I checked with Shelbyville. They use Verizon, and then I checked with Edinburgh, and they use Verizon as well. I also got a paper from Verizon. It was too late to submit it in the board packet, but I got a paper from Verizon with basically examples that they've done before that have operated and schools are definitely one of them, to the point where they advertise it.
Zach, did you make a test run on any of the buses?
Unfortunately, I couldn't make a test run on the buses. We didn't have a router, and by the time I got to that point of conversation with Verizon, it was already, I think it was like Friday by the time I got to that point of conversation with Verizon. So unfortunately, I couldn't provide a proof of concept, which I wanted to. But I'm fully confident that this is going to be a workable solution.
One last question, because I think I understand, but I just want to make sure. Even after the payout, we're saving $50,000.
Yes, to the tune of, they're charging us $200 a bus for internet. This is a monthly recurring charge. Verizon would charge $45 per bus for internet per month.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'm moving for
I will second that.
All those in favor? We're now at 7.
Reports and presentations. Way back in January, I shared the news that we were being placed on on-site monitoring by our title folks with the Indiana Department of Education. We have been working hard. Actually, FIVCO and colleagues have been working hard to ensure that this will be a good experience for us in fall. And Ashley is here tonight to give us an update on the workings of the Title Grants Committee.
I have a speech on my phone, so just be prepared. For anybody who doesn't know me, I think I'm familiar with almost everybody in the room, but my name's Ashley FIVCO. I'm the Title I director. Title I is primarily at the elementary school, but with the formation of this Title Grants Committee, I'm kind of working as the entire corporation representative in terms of the Title Grants. Dr. Bork and I kind of came up with a plan to help our school be a little more efficient with the title grants that we get from the government. In the past, it's been more of a 1 or 2 person job where they've decided where that money gets spent. In the formation of this committee, it's going to be a little extra system of checks and balances to get some input from sources that weren't being considered and get a better idea of what we can use this money for to better support our entire educational community. The committee that we have right now consists of 4 classroom teachers, 2 from the elementary building and 2 from the high school, 2 parents, 1 who has kiddos in the elementary, 1 who has kiddos in the middle school and high school, Ms. Thope, our corporation business manager, both building principals, and then myself. It will also include the new superintendent once that position is filled as a full-time position. The purpose of the committee, like I said, is to create a system of checks and balances and how that money gets spent and to get some different perspectives from people. We meet monthly to address the current spending. The first few meetings we've had and are planning to have is more of getting our bearings as to what money we get from the government, how much money that is, where that's been spent in the past, and establishing are those good patterns of spending, or do we need to kind of do an overhaul of where that money has been going. Right now we're working on creating some goals for both buildings as well as corporation-wide on how that money is going to benefit the education of all of our students, but also benefit our teachers, our community, kind of across the board. How can we use that money to just better ourselves? Once we get those goals established, our meetings will primarily focus on the progress that we're making towards those goals that we've set, as well as double checking our spending habits, making sure we're not going over budgets on anything, and making sure that we're getting the reimbursements from the state for each of those title grants. As we spend the money, we're getting that back in reimbursed. Just for anybody who's not familiar, a quick rundown of the title grants that come from the state. Title I is used for elementary only. In the past, we were what's called a targeted assistance school, which means that we were only able to use those funds for K through 2 students. Last year I applied for it and we were approved to make it a school-wide Title I. So now those funds can be used for any kindergarten through 6th grader that shows any academic need in terms of ELA or math, to provide interventions, to provide programs, to provide resources, anything that we can give them to help better get them caught up with their peers if they're behind on any of those things. Title II from the government is used to provide professional development for our staff. So we've used that with our principals, going to get them some additional training, to get some teachers additional training. We spoke yesterday at our meeting about the new literacy endorsement that's being required of K-6 and special education teachers. possibly being able to use that funding to help those teachers get what they need for that literacy endorsement. Title III, we don't actually qualify for. It's for the English language learners. If you were below a $10,000 threshold, the government withholds that money from us. It's $114 per student. So the likelihood of us ever getting English language Title III money, very unlikely, but possible. And then the Title IV grant is just kind of an all-encompassing grant. It's a set amount every year. It can be used for anything to provide our students with a well-rounded education, keep the schools safe, and improve any of our technology or digital citizenship of our students. So as a committee, we're kind of looking at all of those different funding sources and figuring out how we can use that money to best support all of our kiddos. Any questions about title or grants or anything?
I just want to say I've really enjoyed it, and my kids have really enjoyed the Title I nights they held.
Well, thank you.
Appreciate it. It's something, there's not a whole lot to do around here for kids most of the time, so it gives them something, and it's been nice, so I appreciate that.
Yep, we've actually got one already on the books for next year. The Children's Museum of Indianapolis is coming back, and they're doing a STEM themed, so science, technology, engineering, math, and getting some more hands-on activities there. So that one's already on the books for next year.
Thank you, Ashley.
Thank you.
We also have an update from our high school on athletics. Kendall? Mr. Shepherd?
Oh, sure. Right here. Just these, this is just a copy of everything that I'm kind of reading off of. I'm gonna try to highlight a bit, not go through word for word every single little thing on there, but I want to give you a more thorough update here on paper, and then kind of go over like the big highlights there. So the first thing I really wanted to do here was to highlight the successes of some of our kids and teams from this past season here. I know we've still got just a little bit left here in the spring, but for the most part, we've got a good idea, a kind of how everything's going to fall here. So during the fall season, one of our and I announced this whenever we had our awards night. We had it was the first time I'd ever experienced a situation of not having a single kid after the first grade check being academically ineligible. All of our kids, every team across the board, 100% academic eligibility, which is fantastic. And then on top of that, that was definitely our most successful season of the year. You see our soccer team picked up 14 wins. They were conference champions. We had 3 all-conference selections and then another 4 honorable mentions on top of that. So a significant portion of our team getting honored by the conference there. We were sectional runner-up. Fell in a really, really tough match there at Indy Lutheran, but had a really, really good season. On top of that, Tucker Simmons was our Shelby County Player of the Year. Was announced there. So definitely want to make sure he gets recognized for that accomplishment. We kind of move over into volleyball. Volleyball had they were the runner-up to the Shenandoah Invitational. At that tournament, Riley Engel and Hannah Tatlock both earned all tournament honors. So really big deal there. I was really happy to see academic all-state. We had multiples of those across the board here. In volleyball, the organization, the Coaches Association, they only honor seniors for academic all-state. We had 3 seniors, all 3 academic honors for all-state. So Haley Casey, Riley Engel, Ella Rice. On top of that, the ICGSA, which for those of you who don't know, that is the Indiana Coaches of Girls Sports Association. So they have a separate association just for the volleyball, softball, girls basketball, whatnot. They award a scholarship in the amount of $5,000 to deserving folks for each sport. And Riley was the winner for Indiana in volleyball. So really, really proud of that one. We've got across the board just a fantastic group. I think that I wish I would have looked up the team GPA for that particular group. It's something a little bit crazy. Girls golf, another really successful season. Conference champions, Shelby County champions. Sydney Griffin was our county medalist for the year. Then over in boys tennis, we had yet another academic all-state. Carter Schneck was the winner there. That particular one, along with another that I'll talk about here in a second, was each association kind of has their own sets of rules on what they require to be All-State, and some just are way pickier about who they give those honors to and in comparison to others. And tennis just happens to be one of those that's super picky, so it's not real common to get those. And you know, having Carter get that was a really big deal. So as we moved into winter, we got through our second set of grade checks. Once again, 100% across the board, no problems there with academic eligibility. It was great. Our girls and boys basketball teams, we both had a single nominee that was was conference all conference selection. Excuse me. Tana Taplock for the girls and Benjamin Caleb for the boys. Carter Schnepp was also an honorable mention on the boys' side for that. But then, as I mentioned before, the academic All-State, once again, our kids that are shining in the classroom as well. You know, Carter getting that award, that was yet another one that, you know, they don't give a whole lot of those out. If I'm remembering right, I think Coach Engel said that there's 30-some kids statewide that actually earned that out of 400 plus nominees, and Carter's one of them. So that was our winter season, kind of highlighting those. As I said, spring's still kind of underway, right? But baseball was runner-up over Shelby County. In track and field, at the county meet, Jackson Dents was our 3,200 meter champion. So hopefully we'll get to add a little bit more of that here in the next couple weeks. But those are our kind of big highlights for the kids and for the teams. Next couple pages, I just put in some improvements. I'm not going to go through. As I said, I'm not going to read every single one of them, but there's a few of them that just are really big ones that I want to make sure everybody knows about and highlights. One of them, the very first one there, the Huddle Focus camera. I don't know if anyone's seen up above in the gym, right? You can see the little camera up there. It's absolutely amazing what that thing does. It is, just to give you an idea of the level of the technology for this, after a basketball game, either one of our coaches can go in, pull up the entire video from it, and just with a few clicks be able to just say that they want to see every assist from the game. And it will pull up an entire stream, and not only is it taking stats for them, it will give them the video of every single one of those. I mean, it's incredible. We have the ability now to just instantly, after a game is over with, our coaches can go in the office, share the game film with the other team, and they do the same with us, vice versa, so that everybody's got access to everything. It does open up some things for us in the future, though, too. Those of you that watch games on the live stream through Dark Media, they were using this camera this year. So the quality of that stream, that was coming directly from that, which what that does in the future now is allows us to start to open the possibility up for students, teachers, kind of working together, maybe start to do a little bit of broadcasting ourselves, and start to give another opportunity for people to be able to utilize that. So, I'm hoping that the folks there at Dark Media will be able to kind of help guide us along the way a little bit because they're the experts there. But there's a lot of potential, a lot of possibilities there with that. We had a lot of uniform updates this year. That was a big thing that was very much needed. Volleyball, the new uniforms for those are in. I actually added a few extras. The original order I felt didn't have quite enough, just in case our numbers got a little higher, and then plus I felt like we needed to have a few other sizes to make sure it was a little bit narrow. I wanted to make sure we had enough sizes for any girl that was on those teams. So we expanded to a few, added 3 or 4 more on each side. So on the volleyball, we now have a blue set, red set for those girls to be able to use for varsity matches, and they'll kind of get to choose if they like one better, maybe have one be home, one away, that sort of thing. Cheerleaders, new uniforms across the board for them. That was much needed. I want to publicly thank Katie Fix because she does such a fantastic job of taking care of all of this stuff. She handles so much of it, and she just takes immaculate care of all of their stuff, whether it's uniforms, palms, the everything. So all of those uniforms are in very good hands there. But they were very happy with those. They were very proud of them. Junior high also, that was another area that we needed to do some updates on uniforms. We had kind of a hand-me-down system for years and years, and you get, basically what ends up happening in that situation, you wind up with kids that are 7th graders wearing uniforms that were purchased 8 years ago for a junior in high school. And you wind up with, there's just no way for that to all match properly. I mean, kids are either swimming in them or they're way too small. So we've got new track, cross country, volleyball has new ones. We're going to focus a little bit on soccer in the future, kind of update those as well. But we should have a much cleaner looking and better fitting group of teams there for those junior high programs. We also did have a few kind of updates with we had some like basketball courts, things like that that were, one of them, for example, was kind of being rolled around and had tennis balls in place of wheels and kind of thing, just like, I wanted to make sure we at least looked, had it looking right. So new basketballs across the board, and in the elementary, we actually just replaced a ton of those basketballs there. So they were using some really old, beaten up stuff over there for their practices for the 5th and 6th grade. So we got replacement balls over there. So they got brand new ones, a couple of racks to store them on. And speaking of taking care of things, this gentleman right over here, Mr. Tennell, does a fantastic job of keeping track of and taking care of all of that equipment, uniforms, you name it. All that stuff I don't have to worry about. I know he's got it all under control, so thank you for that. There's a few other things on here. I'll kind of let you guys go. The only other thing I did add on here is just to give you kind of a little bit of an update on some of the future areas of focus. And kind of show you some pictures, give you a little bit of a diagram of what I'm looking at, what I'm seeing as major needs. I think the biggest ones are repairs on the track and the tennis courts. There are some pretty significant foundational issues there. I wanted to at least make sure you are aware of, kind of see the visuals, and I feel like that's kind of the top priority. We do have some other needs, especially on the outdoor facility there. I wanted to make sure at least was brought up. Drainage issues, things like that over at the softball field. What fixes need to be there. We'll need to bring in some professionals to, kind of look at that and see what. But right now we've kind of got a situation where we get a fairly modest amount of rain and that softball field is out of commission. And in the past, it's not. We haven't had that varsity softball team, and so for a few years. But I'm very confident we're going to have a varsity softball team going forward starting next year. The 8th grade group is a solid group that's going to bolster those numbers enough, and I anticipate several years in the future that we're going to be solid over there. So I want to make sure we put focus into that, and we've got that facility up to speed. Soccer also, that's another. The field just, it's hard to, I can't even really put pictures in to show you, right? It's just one of those, when you're out there, you can start to see how things have settled unevenly. You've got dips and valleys, that sort of thing. So I do want to put a little bit of focus on how do we get that facility. It's close. I don't think it's going to take a ton of work, but we are in a position with soccer where, like in sectionals and regionals, all those sorts of things, not a lot of places have lights at the Class A level. And so we're in a position where we can do an awful lot of hosting some really good stuff. So I want to put that up as another thing we're going to really focus on, trying to make sure that is as nice a facility as possible, and it kind of becomes a no-brainer when you work every 2 years when all the agents are sitting around voting on who's hosting what. We get to that soccer sectional meeting, and it's kind of, those guys have the best spot. So that's kind of what I hope. So, but yeah, and is there any questions on anything there?
About the outdoor facility, the building itself. I know over the winter it didn't get winterized properly, and
yes,
pipes busted all over the place, and there's patches and this, that, and the other. And I don't know, we've talked about before about should we, rather than trying to winterize all this stuff every year and hoping that it works right, or do we look into permanently insulating and HVAC in that building, which would be quite costly, but right now the water fountains aren't working. There's some other things and this, that, and the other. And I know it's just a Band-Aid to get through to this season because of the major amount of behind concrete block wall damage that board support if you bring us something, you know, here's what we'd like to do to update this, modernize it, make it look, you know, more presentable, and we're very proud of our facilities, and we'd like to
Yeah.
do whatever we can to maintain them, keep them up, and get them back up to the next level like you've been talking about. That track, tennis courts, we've got to get busy on those. And I also want to say thank you to you. I've not been to an athletic event here where I didn't see Mr. Shepherd here. It's a good thing we hired him on salary and by the hour, because that guy, I don't know if his family ever sees him, but his dedication to our district is unprecedented. So thank you.
Thank you, appreciate that. Yeah, I was gonna say, I definitely, am of any kind of improvement that makes our facilities top notch and makes it look the absolute best we can possibly make it. I am, you know, all on board and on looking into whatever sorts of improvements we possibly make. That, you know, definitely, that would be really nice that, you know, you do see that a lot of larger schools, they just automatically have some of those, you walk in the bathroom and the outdoor facility's already heated, all that kind of stuff. It's really nice, but I have zero clue, as far as like what we're looking at cost-wise, that kind of thing. But it'd absolutely be worth looking into, sure.
Ditto. Thank you for all your hard work.
Yeah, thank you, appreciate it.
Flying right along, there are no leaves, resignations, or promotions on the agenda. And I'm gonna ask the board's indulgence, with recommendations to hire. I'd like to do one of them out of order, and then we'll group a whole bunch of them after that. I'd like to recommend the hiring of Grace Laker, as fifth grade teacher at the elementary school for 2024, 2025. That's what you'd like to introduce?
I'd like to introduce to you Grace Laker. Okay. We actually have been blessed to have Grace with us over the last year as she did her student teaching in Brittany Taylor's first grade classroom. And then she also holds a special education license, so she did a student teaching placement with Miss Fix's special education classroom. So this is Grace Laker. Would you like to tell the board a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, hi, I'm from Shelbyville. I graduated there in 2019, and I recently just graduated from IUPUC with my elementary and special education degree. I did my student teaching here, and I am excited to be on board with you all, and I love the school so much, and I hope you guys give me that opportunity to do so.
We'd like to recommend hiring of Adrian Pope, Kezia Taylor, and Randy Evans, all three as summer feed reprogram employees, not to exceed 29 hours per week at a salary of $13.75 per hour. Any motion to approve?
All those there?
Are we gonna vote on Grace out of order?
Oh, we didn't.
Wow, sorry, Grace.
Sorry, Grace. Fifth grade teacher at the elementary school for 2024, 2025.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All those in favor? 7.
We'd like to recommend hiring Ashley Fytoke and Judd Relicky for summer technology assistants, not to exceed 40 hours a week at $22.50 an hour. Second.
All those in favor? 7.
And then lastly, we'd like to recommend hiring Haley Batts as special education teacher assistant at high school, not to exceed 29 hours per week at $50.
I'll make that motion.
Second. All those in favor? 7.
That's all of our recommendations to hire.
Superintendent?
Superintendent comments. I'd simply like to say thank you to all of you this evening. To Beth for sharing your teacher of the year and sports staff of the year. Congratulations to Caleb and to Candy. Thank you, Scott, for your presentation. And Ashley, for your very informative update on our Title I situation. These presentations and honors tonight are just another reason why this is a little slice of paradise.
Wally and Travis, and also, again, thank you for the public comment. I like to hear it. Thank you, everybody, for attending.
Brad?
Nothing for me. I'll copy Wally and Travis and I'll go ahead.